Coming to your mat in seated with your legs stretched out in front of you, we're going to be going through a strengthen to lengthen sequence. You're going to move your glute flesh out from underneath your sit bones, reach through both heels, push both legs slightly down and lift your arms over your head. Short cat-cow here in this position. And then once you have done that a few times, you can gently bend forward, see where your hands land, lift your head one more time to create that length from sacrum to skull, and then gently lower down and settle. Imprint here where your hands fall and what this feels like before we go to our sequence, and then we'll be reassessing after our 5 minutes. So gently coming out of that position, if you have ankle weights, you can pause the video and then just place those on your ankles now. If you don't have them, it's still a strengthening sequence even without. You can take your legs wide, going as far as they can go. Push through both heels, lift your spine tall, then rotate your torso towards your left leg and see if you can start the process of bringing your toes towards your nose and seeing if you can get that heel any amount off the ground. Rotating now to the right side, pushing through the heel, toes towards the nose. Can I lift my heel any amount off the ground? As we go back to that left side, you can now try to see, can you lift that leg any amount? It'd be very normal not to be able to, but we want to start this process of attempting it, seeing what it feels like for us to build our strength at our end range. We're going to move into a different movement. So this time rotating your torso to the left, but bending the left leg and getting your thigh right tight to your torso. You can bring your right leg in, your left leg forward, hands behind the head, torso tight to your thigh, and then you're bending and extending your left leg while prioritizing keeping your torso tight to your thigh. You're going to repeat this about 5 times. Seeing how it feels in your lower back, in your glutes and hamstrings. Then we're going to switch side, right leg forward, left leg back. Hands go behind the head. Torso tight to thigh, and then bending and extending, prioritizing keeping that contact between your body and your leg, not allowing your leg to go totally straight unless your torso can join it along the way. This is going to protect your lower back while we work on these forward extensions. We're going to go back to that first movement. Legs are going wide, pushing through the heels, push the legs firmly into the ground, lift sacrum to skull, rotate the torso towards that left leg, and then see, can you lift your heel any amount? If your leg starts to cramp, feel free to decrease the amount of repetitions or even bring the feet a little closer together so they're not quite so wide apart. We're going to go into that second movement again, but this time right leg forward, left leg bent. Hands behind the head, torso rotated towards that right thigh, even just a little bit. Keeping your torso tight to your thigh as you bend and extend, sliding the heel along the floor. Switching to the other side, left leg forward, right leg back, hands behind the head. Last time, repeating this movement, torso tight to thigh, sliding the heel, seeing if you can keep that contact all the way down. It can be a little bit tricky, and we just do our best as we become more familiar with the movement. Now bringing both legs forward, point your right toe, and then see if you can lift that right leg. Point your left toe, now lifting the left leg. Arms are behind you. You have a tall spine. It should be a little bit easier to do these lifts in this position than when we had our legs wide, depending on our body. And just seeing, can we lift any amount, toes pointed, gentle lift. From there, just point and flex the toes a couple of times. If you are wearing ankle weights, you can remove them at this point. we're going to come onto our back. We're going to bend both legs at the knees. We're going to lift our hips all the way up towards the ceiling. Arms go overhead. Lower the arms, lower the legs. Bending both legs, hips go all the way up, arms overhead. And just repeating a couple of times. Push through your heels, lift your hips all the way to end range. Lowering down, and then we're going to go into our reassessment, moving the glute flesh away from the sit bones, pushing through both heels, lowering the legs into the ground, arms go overhead, short cat-cow at this position. And then from there, we're going to gently lower forward, see where our hands land, maybe do one last lift of the head, creating that length from sacrum to skull, and then settling down into your final pose, and just seeing if our sequence has made any changes in your position for your forward extension.